Hogwarts Legacy players asked the developers to please allow them to make white characters. Now that's just funny. Of all the controversy around this goddamn video game, this is one I didn't necessarily see coming. See, I was half thinking of mentioning it myself when I was playing the game, and I went through the skin colors. I looked like, that's not really me, but it's close enough. We'll go with that. I didn't even bother mentioning it, but yeah, no. If you point it out, the whitest character skin isn't actually all that pale, I suppose, and I should know what I'm talking about. I mean, I am the target audience in this particular case. I am pale enough to the point that if I were to take my shirt off during summer, I would pose a vehicular hazard, a blinding risk to passing automobiles. And yeah, sure, Hogwarts Legacy can't really fulfill my representative needs in this regards. And also, so this one here that I found, I had a rather interesting take on this, because I do agree it's a rather instinctual one, shall we say. Let's see here. Not that it's such a huge issue to begin with, but it's ironic to think that a game set in Britain fails to incorporate the most prominent skin tone of that region altogether. I mean, that's a pretty good point, isn't it? And of course, the moment this appeared, it became a thing, to the point that even some articles were straight up copied from others, as this one I believe is pretty much a carbon copy with the end knocked out from this one from PC Gamer, different authors mind you. So yeah, this is a controversy now. Well, kind of. Like, even the mainstream gaming media looked at this and went, yeah, I guess this is pretty stupid to argue about. Not that they wouldn't cover it, of course, but you know, such is life. Though, I do find some of this funny too. Characters creators are frequently criticized for lacking dark skin tones. Are they? Or do you frequently obsess about race a little bit too much? Because I think there's a very valuable distinction to be made there. For lighter, dark skin, awkwardly unrealistic, black skin is still a radical concept in video games, apparently. Now, that is obviously bullshit, as anyone who's never played video games for any extent of time will know. Hell, back in Baldur's Gate, or Fallout, or Deus Ex, you could already play black characters and have black companions. It was never a radical idea in gaming. It simply just wasn't. With an air of self-awareness, a number of comments have complained on the Reddit the lack of a particularly pale skin has kept them from recreating themselves as Hogwarts students. A modder wasted no time giving players what they wanted, producing a Hogwarts Legacy mod called Paler and Darker Skin for player characters. Incidentally, originally, it was just a mod that gave you paler skin, as I believe this, yes, paler skins for player characters, the article here mentions, because that was the specific request, as apparently the dark skin tone was fine. And, okay, this is the comparison right here. Let's, open this up, and yeah, you can quite clearly see the difference. Like, this is closer to me. This probably still isn't white enough to be me. Especially as you'll also have to add in the, alarm red rosy cheeks, for example, for full Nordic representation, which incidentally I even believe the article mentions. This is kind of funny though, isn't it? As like, imagine being a games journalist and you wake up one morning and you realize, yeah, no, we don't actually have white people representation. Proper white people, of course. I claim that title as my own, and I'm the only person who can bestow it upon anyone else, for I am the whitest of them all. And here's the thing. A character creator should be pretty damn simple. This was the darker skin tone one as well, and in reality, all you should really have here is pitch black and purest Snow White, and then you make a scale between the two, and people can choose whatever the hell they want. It can't be that difficult, I think anyways. The light skin tone in the default or Hogwarts Legacy characterization is indeed somewhat tan, compared to the palest humankind gets. At least as it is rendered of the character creation screen. It looks slightly different in game, like all games. For some reason, they can never just make you look like you appeared in the character creator, but oh well. The NC is the interesting thing too, because this isn't, of course, just purely accidental either, I believe. Again, bear in mind, as the previous one pointed out, this game is supposed to be set in Britain, a place where the rain never stops and the sun shines about 3 days out of the year. Were it not for the fact that their temperature is higher and they don't get as much snow, it would perhaps even be worse than Norway, because it's just a foggy little goddamn island. But they mention as well that, what was it here? The Harry Potter series has been extensively criticized for excluding or stereotyping people of color. Oh no, it has stereotyped the people of color and excluded them at the same time. Impressive. And that was clearly on the minds of Hogwarts Legacy developers. In that context, it would be taken as an unpleasantly ironic. There's a day one paleness mod. Well, yes, it means that you didn't actually focus on variety of skin colors, you focused on variety of diverse skin colors. Because this is, of course, a political question, not a player choice question. It is not a player universe question. Again, this takes place in 1890 or something. There weren't a very diverse populace in London, England at the time. Or hell, why would people even come from Asia or Uganda, like that one side character, to England to study at Hogwarts specifically? It's a dumb thing. It is a stupid detail added in for nonsense politic reasons, and thing is, it isn't even a big deal. It's literally, it is the skin deep level of representation. It is diversity for diversity's sake in the most corporate way imaginable, because the developers knew they were going to be attacked if they didn't do it. Because yes, this was clearly on the minds of Hogwarts Legacy developers. This is a wafer thin accommodation to the screaming wokeist mob, just like the transgender character, which they feel the need to mention here. And incidentally, are we even sure it's a transgender character? I've heard that a lot of people are annoyed about their masculine name, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure this is a universe in which you can change the tone of your voice by eating a candy bar. But as they did, they knew they were going to be attacked because it was blatantly obvious. People were trying to boycott this game since it was practically announced over J.K. Rowling's controversial views that women equals adult human female. I know, insane, right? And so, of course, they were making some precautions, and we can see this as well. It was an interesting little tweet from, almost dead named the person from Stephanie Sterling. I used to watch quite a lot of the Gymquisition back in the day, because to be fair, hold myself again. God, let's be the person. I'm trying to be nice because this is YouTube, okay? I gotta be careful with my words here, right? Has a lot of good insight on the gaming industry, and they claimed. Is that cruel? No. They claim to have an insider working at Warner Brothers who didn't have much to say other than that apparently they were being very, very, very selective with who they gave out their games codes to. I wonder why. Could it have something to do with the fact that many of these mainstream gaming magazines wrote lengthy op-eds trying to figure out whether or not it was ethical to review a video game? Could it have to do with the fact that certain groups of people refused to refer to it as Hogwarts Legacy and instead call it That Wizard Game? Could it be the fact that entire harassment campaigns were organized at attacking the people who did play it? Yeah, no, if I were them, I'd be very careful who I handed out review codes to as well, and apparently, What eventually happened was that Warner Brothers entered into some pretty hefty negotiations with the outlets that did receive a code in the end, in all due likelihood including certain limitations on how far they could take it, what they could write, how they could write it, what they could say, what they couldn't say, and how far they could go in certain political directions. You know, avoiding the stuff like the Wired article I showed you on the Archcast, which basically didn't talk about the game at all, and instead was simply a lengthy story about the person's lived experiences, ending with awarding the game a 1 out of 10 for, well, ruining their childhood, I guess. And fair enough, that's gonna make the game suck for you, but that's not a review, that's a blog post. Hell, it barely qualifies even as that. And that is, of course, why the game committed so hard to the performative wokeness of it all, including the transgender character, who was apparently also, so rumor has it, shoved into the game at the last moment because, well, you know, we gotta throw a little bit out there, we gotta, you know, appease the sharks, I suppose. And, well, it didn't work. I mean, it didn't appease the sharks. Everybody else played it because at the end of the day, their boycotts didn't work. Boycotts don't work. Boycotts are stupid. Because if people are really excited about something, excited enough to contemplate a boycott in the first place, they are probably massive fans of the thing. And the only way you can get a boycott to work is if the thing is shit. See Warhammer Plus, for example. Whereas in the case of this, where it's a perfectly suited, functional game that is probably amazing for people who are genuine fans of the genre, or, you know, the target audience of 12-year-old children, then yeah, a boycott just simply ain't gonna work. And thank God it didn't, because this has demonstrated, I believe, quite thoroughly so, to the entire mainstream industry and gaming media that, you know what? You don't actually need to kowtow to the diversity claims. In fact, it is better off to ignore them and instead basically scare them with the big stick. Oh, hey, Mr. Outlet, I know that you literally live and die on the crumbs we give you. We're not going to give you a review code for a video game if you're simply going to use it as a poster for your own insane psychological agenda. So, what's it going to be? You're going to give it an actual review, or no review at all? And of course, that can also backfire tremendously, and it has, because this is not necessarily a good thing either, that the game developers are curating the reviewers of their video games, but hey, at least if they're curating them for their political ideology, I guess that's one rationale, I guess. At least if it actually affects your interpretation of the video game at large, and whether or not you have been, well, ideologically programmed to reject a thing because it's what Twitter told you to do. Oh, what a backward world we live in. But there we are. And I will also point out one thing here too. This shows what people can do if they actually give a shit about something. Okay, so somebody looked at the character creator and went, this isn't me, and I really want this to be an immersive self-immersion experience. I want to have myself in the video game. Alright, fair enough. So what did they do? They went on a modding forum and went like, hey, how can I do this? Can anyone make it for me? Like, does it exist already? Etc, etc. And voila! There it was, because probably this wasn't particularly hard, considering it came out like a couple of days or hours after the game's release. And if the gaming journalists and all of the people who would totally play video games if only there was the correct skin color in them, well, you could just mod it in. But of course, it's not about that, is it? As we've said so many times, it is about the authority and the institutional power that complaining brings, not the actual end result of the complaints. Till next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.